on, ladies and gentlemen? It's the Kitty here and welcome back to another one of my videos. On today's video we're looking at FRAG Pro Shooter, and in particular I'm going to be going through the top 10 tips for beginners on the game. If you're not a beginner, if you're intermediate or advanced, still watch the video because you never know, there might be something on here that you haven't seen before, or something that makes a little light bulb moment go on in your head and you're thinking, ah yes, that would be a good idea to do that. You never know. And also I appreciate you watching it in the first place anyway. But before we talk about the top 10 tips, let me just say, can you subscribe to this channel and click on that bell notification for all my future uploads? And that would be absolutely amazing. And I really appreciate your support on my channel. And let's try and grow it as big as we can for the future. And I can do even more content and maybe do even more giveaways. You never know. So without further ado, let's go in and do the top 10. Before we talk about the top 10 tips, let me just tell you what the premise of the game is. The main game's hypes are to take out the opposing team's bunkers, which are located on the left and right. Once you can take those down and destroy them, take out the base at the back, the tower, and you will win the game. That is your primary goal. Now this top 10 is not in any particular order, it is just basically 10 top tips to help you with the game going forward. So the first tip that I'm going to talk to you about is make sure that you've got a balanced deck. And what do I mean by a balanced deck? Make sure that you've got at least 2 defenders or 1 defender and a camp card in your deck, because you don't want to be putting yourself with all attackers or all central attackers and not having anyone in defense. Now you might, if you get to be an advanced player, you might want to risk doing something like that in the future, but for now, as a beginner, you definitely want an all-round deck, and that is best done with having the 2 defenders or a defender and a camp card, just to shore up defense when the opposition comes in, knocking on the door, trying to bash down your buildings. Tip number 2 is do not have too many legendaries cards in your deck. Now the legendaries, although you might sort of think naturally that the legendary cards are the best ones to have, there are some awesome legendary cards, but the best cards in the game are not always legendary ones. If you have legendary cards and they get killed, they take a mighty 30 seconds to respawn, which means they're out of the game for that extra amount longer, because the other classes in the game, your epics, your common, your rares, they only take 22 seconds to respawn. So if you don't ever want to have more than 2 legendaries maximum in your deck, possibly only have 1. Keep it simple. Don't have too many legendaries, or you will come unstuck in the fights that you do. Tip number 3: try to use fraggers that have got splash damage. They are the easiest ones to control. They will give you your, you don't have to be too super accurate with them. Their splash damage will do the work. You can aim at the feet, aim at the ground around them, and you will hit them there. Whereas if you've got some of the other fraggers, you'll find that they're not as easy to get those shots off. So the cards with the splash damage, your best bet are ones such as Queen Unicorn, Jet, who you get right at the beginning of the game, BB, Lollipop, Andromeda, I'm just looking off of a list here, Scrapper, Hades, Duncan and the Doom are a slightly smaller splash damage, but those first ones that I mentioned have got a big splash damage effect, and they will give you a really good chance of winning the games when you're using them. Obviously, if you're not using them, the AI is using them, then it doesn't matter so much. But if you're going to use the cards that you're going to be maining, if you've got the splash damage, really good chance of getting the kills ahead of your opposition. So tip number 4. We're up to 4 already. Tip number 4 is to switch before dying. Now what do I mean by switch before dying? What I mean is, if you're controlling a fragger and you get killed, it can take quite some seconds while you're out of the game before you can select another character to choose from. That is not very good. So what you need to do, if you try to get into the habit of this if you can, when you think you're going to die, just before you die, you switch characters. You can instantly switch characters, and that will keep your momentum going, and that will stand you in good stead for winning the game. So just bear that in mind, think of that in the back of your head, try to switch before you die. Tip number 5 is learn the blind spots. And what I mean by learn the blind spots is, at the moment, your main games are consisting of 2 maps, bridges and the pits. Those are your main 2 maps. Obviously, it's different with Street Frag and Palo, which are your other game types. But definitely with those first 2, the bridges map and the pit map, learn the blind spots. And what I mean by that is around the bunkers mainly. When you're attacking a bunker, stand in a position that's harder for the opposing team to hit. There's certain positions you can get on the map where you can hit those targets that are in the bunkers and you can't be seen, you can't be hit. Tip number 6 is to use the attack and defend commands. In this game, you have attack and defend commands. You can basically click on your buildings, your bunker and your base. You can click on yours to get your characters to try and defend, or you can click on the opposing team's bunkers and base to get your characters to attack their base. During the match, you might want to switch it up a bit. You might decide, right, we're going to push on the attack, so you tell your guys to attack. You can even switch it up and you can say, right, I want my AI controlled attacking fraggers to attack the bunker on the right, and in the meanwhile you can attack the bunker on the left. You can switch it up and make it so that they've got two targets to defend against rather than 1, and you can do the same with defense. You can try and defend all on 1 bunker or on both. Things like that are worth knowing, so make sure that you use those in the match because they make a hell of a difference to the outcome. Tip number 7 is to learn where the health packs are. On each of these maps there are health packs dotted around the place, and you could do with knowing where they are to give you that little bit of an advantage during the match, because as you get better at the game, your opponents will start to know where those health packs are, and you'll be wanting to pick them up to give yourself that health boost, to give yourself more of an opportunity to go forward, kill the other fraggers and take out the bunkers. Tip number 8 is to main a character, and what I mean by that is, obviously a lot of the players in the game will have one particular go-to fragger in their deck that is the one that they will main the most, the one that they feel comfortable with the most, the one they feel like they're the best with, or with the one they think is the best fragger. That is the one that they will go to, and you need to do the same. Choose a fragger in your current deck that is the one that you want to main with. Obviously, you don't really want to use a defensive one. You more want to use one of the other positions, like a central card. Use a central card or attacking card or a wild card. Not so much camp or defensive, because that's, I know, maybe that's more for advanced than beginners. Main one of those cards, get good with those. I mean, try and get good with all the cards in your deck so you're comfortable with that, but have one particular one that is your strongest card, and that is the one you want to use the most in the game to get you those wins. Tip number 9 is to keep on the move. The AI are relentless. They will shoot you wherever you are, and if you stand still, you become an easier target. Make sure you never stand still. Make sure you keep on the run and you keep going for cover as well whenever you can. Try to get the advantage whenever you can, and standing still will mean you will be obliterated quite quickly. So never stand still. Even if you're in a bunker and you're shooting a target, you might want to consider moving back and forwards so that when you do get spotted, they take longer to hit you, and you might get that little bit of extra health down on the bunkers to give you the win at the end of it. Tip number 10 is basically what I think is the best starter deck for you in the game. If you're very new to the game and you've only just started the game, you want to choose what I think are the best fraggers in the training area. And I think that the best fraggers to have are, including which one to main, Jet. Jet has splash damage. Jet has a great jetpack. She has pushback as well. She is an excellent card to start with. Use her as your main, and the ones I would have around her are Dr. Frost, very good defensive card. JB, very good camp card with his mines that he's got at his disposal. Then Slimer and Big Paku, that I would have as your starting deck going forward. And then as you get through harder to the better arenas, you can mix them up a bit. But I would say Jet is a very good card going forward. So start with that. And that is my top 10 tips for beginners. And I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to smash that like button because that'd be super awesome. Shout outs on my channels at Dominic M, Tommy the Beast, Etty Shukla, Percy Fluffy, and Sarah Zuleika. And if you want to help grow this channel to infinity and beyond, then share this video with your friends. And there's more videos on my channel. You can watch a couple that's coming on right now.